What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another UFC breakdown and predictions video, this time for UFC 309 Jones versus Miocic. Now, we're coming off of the UFC Vegas 100 card where we ended up going 8-3 on picks, where only one underdog won, which was Gaston Bolaños, which means our most confident picks parlay ended up losing due to Cortavius Romeus losing that fight. Nevertheless, if you guys did end up following me on Twitter, like I always recommend you do, we hit some pretty good plays. We were up almost 5 units on bets for UFC Vegas 100, with the main prop being Charles Radke by TKO, which was at plus 375, and that hit in under 1 minute of that fight. So I urge you guys, once again, as always, make sure to go on Twitter, follow me on there, Limpy Bets, 2 Ys at the end of Limpy. And hopefully we can get a solid betting card here at UFC 309. There's some decent spots, but in terms of a most confident picks parlay, it is extremely chalky, and we're going to go over that throughout this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and comment down below with your thoughts on this UFC 309 pay-per-view card. Starting off the card, we have a women's bout, Veronica Hardy going up against Eduarda Moura. Now, I'm going to be going with Hardy in this matchup. And if you guys are unfamiliar, Eduarda Moura actually fought at straw weight, so 115 pounds, where she was struggling to make weight. She was killing herself to go down to 115, and both of her UFC fights, she missed weight. It was only by half a pound her last time out, but you can tell that played a big toll in her performances because she was draining herself so much to try to make that 115-pound threshold, and she was gassing out because of that reason. I say because of that reason, but we don't know if it's an actual cardio issue or just because of the crazy weight cut. But typically her fight style is trying to get her opponents down to the ground, mixing in the strikes to get those takedowns, and then using her grappling and ground control to find success in her fights, where she can usually finish her opponents. She has 10 wins, 9 finishes, I think 4 KOs and 5 subs, if I'm not mistaken. But because of that bullying style, down at 115, she could do that. But I don't know if she's going to be able to find as much success here at 125. Yes, she's going up against a fairly small opponent in Veronica Hardy, but still, it's going to be up a weight class, so it's going to be interesting to see how that bullying style of hers translates to 125 pounds. Now, she's taken on Veronica Hardy, who's had this career resurgence, and a big part of that is because of her husband, Dan Hardy, who is a great MMA mind and is her coach, and she has a great ability to listen and adapt throughout the fight and listen to her corner and make those adjustments mid-fight. Now, Veronica Hardy is extremely quick on the feet. She has great hand speed. She moves a lot in her fights. She's never sitting still. She's always moving laterally in and out. Like I said, she's extremely quick when she's throwing those hands, so she can go in and out before any strikes return at her. And I think that's going to play a big role in this fight in Hardy's favor against somebody like Moura, who isn't as good or quick, technical, or any of that stuff on the feet. I think Veronica's movement is going to be annoying for Moura to try to pinpoint her location, chase her down. It's probably going to wear her down as well. We know that Veronica Hardy has great cardio and can keep up that kind of a pace for 15 minutes, but we don't know if Moura can do that. So I'm going to go with Veronica Hardy here, probably to get it done by decision. Let's keep rolling. Next up, we have an absolute dogfight here. Basil Hafez going up against Oban Elliott. Now, both of these guys are pretty similar in terms of skill set. Both of them are great overall generalists. They can do both strike and wrestle. I will favor Oban Elliott in terms of technical striking ability, but Basil Hafez probably has more power than Oban does. And both of these guys are just extremely relentless, will never quit on themselves. And that's why I said this is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a big, huge back and forth fight. And it's just going to be a banger from start to finish. Now, Basil Hafez typically wants to get the fight to the ground and put in work on the mat, where Oban Elliott, even though he can find success there, he has good forward pressure and finds a decent amount of success on the feet. I think that's going to be where he finds the most success against somebody like Hafez. In his last fight, in Oban's last fight, he went up against Preston Parsons, who is similarly a pressure wrestler like Hafez is, and I'm pretty sure Oban was able to fend off a lot of those takedowns. He was only actually taken down once by Preston Parsons in the entirety of the fight, and Oban was actually able to find one of his own takedowns throughout that fight as well, and then outstruck Parsons in that matchup. Now, I was originally going to go with Hafez here, but I think I'm going to stick with Oban Elliott as my pick. I haven't really picked Oban in a lot of his matchups, including his Dana White's Contender Series fight. I just don't think, like, in terms skill-wise, I think he has a lot to grow. He's only 26, so I can see him. He has the potential to grow that skill set, but he's just an absolute dog, and he's hard to bet against. I'm really excited for this one, actually. For it to be the second fight of the night is pretty awesome. It's going to be a nice back-and-forth dogfight, but I will go with Oban Elliott to get it done. Next up, we have Mickey Gall going up against Ramiz Brahimaj. And honestly, man, I don't know what to do with this one because Mickey Gall is 7-6. So clearly not a very good fighter. Yes, he spent most of his career, I think he was 1-0 when he entered the UFC. He had a long layoff at some point, I'm pretty sure, between the years, I guess it was 2021 until, yeah, he actually didn't have as big of a layoff as I thought. Regardless, he is 1-4 in his last 5, 3-fight losing streak. His 3-fight losing streak is Morono, Malott, and Hafez, which is actually, Malott and Morono are pretty decent losses to have on your record. Brahimaj actually was the one that had the layoff that I was thinking of in this matchup. I think it was 2 years off. Yeah, it was from February 2022 to May 2024, where he came back and fought Themba Gorimbo, and he had absolutely nothing to offer Gorimbo at all. Gorimbo was able to take him down at will, and Brahimaj is borderline a jiu-jitsu nerd, and he will play that off-your-back grappling game. That is his bread and butter, though. He has 10 wins, 10 submissions. So other than like a submission, I don't want to say Hail Mary, but other than like a well-placed submission on the Brahimaj side, I don't know if it's Brahimaj or Brahimaj. I don't know. But I don't see him getting this done. I can't believe I'm picking Mickey Gall in 2024, but I am. He did a great job fending off a lot of Basil Hafez's takedowns last time out. He was taken down 3 times in that fight, but he was still able to keep up with the striking numbers. He only got outstruck 95-83, and he was able to get his own takedown on Basil Hafez as well. And I think physically, Basil Hafez is more imposing than Brahimaj is. That's why he probably found that success with the wrestling. I think the length, the height and the length, the size of Mickey Gall in general against somebody like Ramiz, I don't think Ramiz is going to be able to take the fight down to the ground like Hafez was able to, and I think that's his only chance of getting this done. I think Mickey Gall is going to be the better striker. He's going to use that height, that range, and probably beat Brahimaj. I don't want to say by KO because that's absolutely nuts, but you never know. Mickey Gall's never gotten a KO. He has 6 submission wins. That's insane. That's insane. Anyway, I'm going to go with Mickey Gall here. Let's go on to the next fight. It's a heavyweight bout. Marcin Tybura going up against Jonathan Diniz. Now, this fight, when you take a look at it, you would think that Tybura is kind of the obvious pick, quote-unquote obvious pick. And I say that because he's fought a lot of the who's who in the heavyweight division, a lot of the top contenders. If you go through his last 5 fights alone, he fought Spivak, Tuivasa, Aspinall, Ivanov, Romanov, and before that, Volkov. So he's fought way better MMA competition than Diniz has. And he has that high pressure in your face. He wants to take you down, beat you up on the mat. And we've seen Diniz in his short UFC tenure that if the opponent wants to take him down, they typically are able to, and they're able to control him and keep him on his back. Diniz seems absolutely clueless on the ground. He seems like a fish out of water, and you can see that same sort of game plan from Tybura, and he's more skillful than his previous opponents when it comes to that as well. So like, it should be a Tybura pick here, but I'm going to go with Diniz. He was originally supposed to fight, I believe, 2 weeks ago against Derek Lewis, and Lewis had like a non-weight cut related health issue before the fight, and he ended up pulling out. So now in comes Tybura. So this is probably like a short notice fight for Tybura. I don't think he was training for an upcoming fight. At least I didn't hear of one. So it is short notice on the Tybura side. Diniz has been prepared for a fight, but it was a completely different fight. Obviously, with Derek Lewis, it's more going to be of a striking battle, as opposed to Tybura, who will mix in the striking, has good volume and pressure, but he wants to ultimately get you down to the ground and pummel you on the mat. He typically does that with like body locks and trips and throws, as opposed to like actual wrestling, like double, single leg takedowns, something like that. But yeah, I don't know. We've seen Tybura get knocked out. We've seen him get hurt. I think somebody like Diniz can use that length with that kickboxing skill set that he has and kind of just keep him at range, land some big shots on Tybura, and probably eventually put him away. I'm a big fan of Diniz. I think he has that exciting style. He's got that great skill set for kickboxing. The great kickboxing skill set. I'm kind of butchering this video, I'm not going to lie, but as obvious of a pick as I originally thought Tybura would be, I am going to go with Diniz here. Let's keep rolling. We got Jim Miller taking on Damon Jackson. I am going to go with Damon Jackson here. I had Jim Miller at UFC 300 to defeat Bobby Green because of that mini career resurgence that he was having, but he got his ass kicked for 15 minutes straight by Bobby King Green, and that's an ass whooping that you do not recover from, especially at the age of 41. Now, Damon Jackson isn't known as this crazy power puncher in that sense, but Jim Miller's age really showed in that Bobby Green fight. Damon Jackson has been improving his striking skill set. We've seen that in his most recent fights, and although, like I said, he doesn't have that like one-shot power, he has developed a nice skill set on the feet where he can kind of have his opponents worry about that portion of his style now, and that will open up opportunities to get those takedowns a little bit more effectively than before. And he has like that. He's not going to give up on the first or second attempt. He's going to continuously try to get those takedowns because that's where he finds the most success. Now, like I said, I'm going to go with Damon Jackson here because Jim Miller's last performance, his age really did start to show. He was slower on the feet. And like I said, that's just an ass whooping you do not recover well from. I'm going to go with Damon Jackson here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting this fight to the mat and submitting Jim Miller either. So I'm going to go with Damon Jackson. Next up, we got Chris Weidman going up against Eric Anders. Now, this is a winnable fight for Chris Weidman. He might just pull out the double eye poke special that he hit Bruno Silva with in his last fight because he's allowed to do it apparently. But I am going to go with Anders here. Anders, I think I saw him, or Eric Anders, I saw him talking about this, like, something in his life. He's changed. He's taking things more seriously, and he's really excited to get back into the octagon and all this other stuff. So I am going to pick him because I like the physicality advantage he has. He does a really good job with clinch fighting. He can get his opponents over to the cage, clinch them up, keep them there, and do some pretty good work inside of that clinch. But beyond that, Weidman, skill-wise, if this is the Weidman of old, he is the much better fighter. If this was Weidman even 5 years ago, I'd probably pick him against Anders. But yeah. This is going to be like, I don't know, how do you break down a fight like this? You have middleweights. Eric Anders got dropped by Jamie Pickett his last fight. Chris Weidman, like I don't know. I just don't know. This isn't the same Chris Weidman. Yeah, he beat Bruno Silva, but Bruno Silva's been on a downward spiral for quite some time now. He's won one fight in his past 7. And then he loses to Brad Tavares, which is never a good look. The broken leg from Uriah Hall in 2021. And it's just like, I don't know how anybody can pick Weidman here. I'm certainly not going to. I've spent too much time on this fight. Eric Anders probably by a disgusting split decision. Honestly, if it's a split decision in New York, they probably give it to Weidman. But I'm still going with Eric Anders. Next up, we got Jonathan Martinez going up against Marcus McGhee, and this is the featured prelim of the night, and this is going to be another banger. These two are extremely technical strikers, and I do give the power advantage to Marcus McGhee. We've seen him; he's been phenomenal in his short UFC career so far, but he's probably looked better than he should because of the competition that he's fought. He's knocked out Bolaños in his last fight, JP Buys before that, and Journey Newson prior to that. So Jonathan Martinez, in terms of experience for the UFC, he does have the experience advantage, and he's fought against the better opponents. His most recent fight, though, was not a really good look for him. He went up against an aging post-retirement Jose Aldo, where Aldo just cranked him for 3 rounds straight, basically. And Jonathan Martinez didn't really seem like himself in there. I don't know if it was like starstruck, what it was, because he was fighting Jose. I don't really know. But typically, he's an extremely technical striker, and he loves the leg kicks. He does a fantastic job with those leg kicks as well. He has 2 leg kick KO victories in the UFC. He did it to Cub Swanson, and then he did it to Adrian Yanez. And that's going to help him here against Marcus McGhee, because although Marcus McGhee isn't like this huge like movement guy, he's not going to be dancing around, moving laterally, anything like that, but he will walk you down, and he will stay in that close range because his striking is so technical. I think this is going to be a chess match on the feet. It's going to be really exciting to see who ends up prevailing in this matchup. But it's going to be an absolute banger. Definitely striker versus striker. But if somebody's going to mix in the wrestling, I do give that advantage to McGhee. Jonathan Martinez has shown that he can get taken down in his fights. But this is a huge step up in competition for McGhee. So the fact that he's a slight favorite is kind of interesting. If he didn't lose to Jose Aldo and these two got paired up afterwards, I believe he is a decent favorite against Marcus McGhee. But I will take McGhee here to get this done. Probably by decision, but Martinez was getting pieced up and hurt in that Aldo fight late, so it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with the power of McGhee. And we haven't really seen McGhee go very long. He is a bona fide finisher. We're going to probably see how he looks in a third round, see if he can hold up that cardio. Regardless, I'm going to be picking Marcus McGhee here. Let's move on to the main card of UFC 309. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and comment down below your thoughts on UFC 309. Starting things off, we got Mauricio Ruffy, a Fighting Nerds member, taking on Hafez Llontop. Now, Hafez Llontop is 0-2 in the UFC, and he is not doing himself any favors taking on Ruffy on short notice. Mauricio Ruffy was supposed to fight... Who was he supposed to fight? Charlie Campbell, which would have been a pretty sick fight. Regardless, Charlie Campbell withdraws. In comes Hafez Llontop, and I do not see him getting this done. Mauricio Ruffy has that Conor McGregor-esque karate style. He's precise. He's powerful. He's accurate. I already said precise. Regardless, the guy is fantastic in the octagon. He's got the power to back it up as well. And although Llontop hasn't really shown a chin issue, he's only 25 years old. He's Peruvian, so he's got that chin. But honestly, man, Ruffy is probably going to be able to finish him here. Ruffy's like a minus 1,000 favorite, so this isn't news to anybody that I'm picking Mauricio Ruffy here. He should get this done. Llontop does have good pressure. He made a good account of himself against another fantastic striker in Vyacheslav Borshev his last time out, but ultimately fell short there, and I think he's going to fall short here as well and go 0 and move to 0-3 in the UFC. It's not going to be a good look for him. Regardless, Ruffy should be able to get this done. Next up, we got Viviane Araujo, a grizzled vet, taking on Karine Silva. Now, this is going to be a good test for Karine Silva going up against a veteran like Araujo, and I think it's a test that she passes. I'm going to side with the youth. I'm going to side with speed and danger in this matchup. Karine Silva, 18 career wins, 17 finishes. And although Araujo isn't really known to get finished, I can honestly see a submission here. Karine Silva has everybody's talking about Araujo's fantastic takedown defense. I think it's like 72%, something like that, which is fantastic. If for a 11 fight UFC career. But so 78% takedown defense actually. But Karine Silva averages 3.5 takedowns per fight, and she has a 72% accuracy. That is crazy. That's a lot of takedowns and a high percentage for having that many takedowns per 15 minutes. Now, I think Araujo is going to be a good test for her. Like we already mentioned, it's just in that Natalia Silva fight, she was like a step behind. And I know that Natalia Silva is a completely different sort of have a different sort of fighting style. She's more of like that karate style, bouncy, moving around, very quick on the feet as well. But somebody like Karine will find success basically in all departments here, especially at the Araujo being 37 now. And yeah, I'm just gonna favor youth. I'm gonna favor danger, speed. That's where my head's at for this specific fight here. I will take Karine Silva, and you know what? I am gonna take her by submission. I will. I'm gonna do it. That's probably gonna be my official pick. Next up, we got Bo Nickal taking on Paul Craig. Now, Bo Nickal should get this done. He should be able to take down Paul Craig whenever he wants. I don't imagine Craig puts up much of a fight either when Bo shoots those takedowns, because Craig is a grappler. He's a dangerous grappler at that. He is the only person to defeat Ankalaev, and it was by last-second triangle, which I'd love to remind people. Anyway, Bo should be able to find those takedowns, and I think Paul Craig's going to welcome those takedowns because, like I said, his main skill set is that grappling, and he's very dangerous when it comes to the grappling as well. Somebody like Bo Nickal, though, who has like that wrestling and grappling background, why is he 8-0? I hope I didn't make any mistakes on these visuals like I did last time. I went back and checked. I was like, oh my lord, how many mistakes I made. Regardless, Bo Nickal should get this done. I'm gonna go by TKO, but if you're one of those degenerate gamblers that likes to sprinkle on some crazy stuff, if you're not putting money down on Paul Craig by submission, what are you doing? I'm probably going to throw down a little bit, because if he's going to win, that's how he's going to do it, and the odds are going to be insane. And with Bo probably wanting to wrestle, why not? Why not? But ultimately, I do think he gets this down to the ground. I think he TKOs Paul Craig at some point, maybe in the first or second. That's what I'm going to go with. But, yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Bo Nickal's like a minus 1,200 favorite. I'm going to go Bo Nickal by KO, TKO. Co-main event of the evening. We got a 5-round fight. Is what I'm trying to say here, with Charles Du Bronx Oliveira taking on Michael Chandler, and this is their second meeting. Dude, oh my lord. They fought originally the first time for the vacant title at lightweight after Khabib retired. And although Michael Chandler found some success, because in typical Charles Oliveira fashion, the guy gets hurt, recovers. These shoot-a-box guys, they all love doing it. And then he goes out and finishes their opponent. And he did that with Michael Chandler last time. And I don't see anything different going down in this fight here. Michael Chandler, everybody's going off about he's looked the best that he's ever looked in his career physically. All this stuff. He feels like a rejuvenated man. All this, and he says he was too young when he fought Oliveira the first time. He was like 36, okay? He wasn't like exactly young in the fight game, but I just don't see. He's been out of the game for 2 years now, waiting for the Conor McGregor fight. Oliveira's fought 5 times since then. No, I'm sorry, not since that. He's fought 5 times since he fought Chandler. November 2022 is when Chandler last fought. I guess he's fought. Charles has fought twice since then. It was the Dariush finish and then a split decision against Sarukian. Like, dude, like I said, man, there's nothing I'm really going to break down in this fight. We all know who Charles is. The guy's extremely dangerous. He's got like 30 finishes, I think, in his career. How many does he have? 10, and he has 31 out of 34 of his wins are finishes, 10 by KO, 21 by submission. The guy's extremely dangerous. If he gets dropped, it doesn't matter. If the opponent follows him into his guard, he's going to threaten them with arm bars, triangles, he sweeps, all that stuff. Charles can also bang on the feet. We saw him chin Michael Chandler already. I just don't see anything different going down. Charles Oliveira, to get things done, I'm going to go by KO TKO again. He could submit him, probably, if Chandler shoots a sloppy takedown. We saw how disgusting Charles Oliveira's guillotine is when he went up against Sarukian. But yeah, Charles Oliveira finish. There's no way this goes 25 minutes. If it does, I don't even know what I would do. But there's no way. No way. Let's move on to the main event of the evening. We got Jon Jones taking on Stipe Miocic. We got arguably the GOAT of the sport taking on the GOAT of heavyweight. Stipe Miocic hasn't fought in over 2 years. Jon Jones has only been in the octagon for like 2 minutes in the past 4 years. His last fight for the belt against Ciryl Gane, he choked him out in 2 minutes. And there's nothing really I'm going to be breaking down here. Yeah, Jon Jones is new to the weight class. Stipe, 42 years old, hasn't fought since when? March 2021, so 2.5 years. It's like it's hard to back Stipe as a pick. Will I be cheering for him? Hell yeah, I will. Stipe's a dog. He's the heavyweight GOAT. It's always fun to see if he see him be successful in the UFC. But honestly, I think Jon Jones is going to get this done, as much as I don't want to say it. I'm going to even go on a limb and go that he wins by submission. Honestly, I think he's going to realize that Miocic's best opportunity to beat him is if he stays on the feet, because Miocic has good hands. He's got good boxing. He's got decent power as well. So I think Jon Jones is going to come in and try to wrestle him. I think he's going to try to grapple with him, and if he gets it done, it'll probably be by submission. That's what I'm going to go with. But yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time breaking this one down. Jon Jones is going to be my pick. Now let's go over all the picks. I'm going to tell you guys my most confident picks as well, but because the odds are so wild, I don't think I'm going to be making a most confident picks parlay for UFC 309. But starting off the card, we got Veronica Hardy, Oban Elliott, Mickey Gall, Jonathan Diniz, Damon Jackson, Eric Anders, Marcus McGhee, Mauricio Ruffy, Carini Silva, Bo Nickal, Charles Do Bronx Oliveira, and Jon Bones Jones. Thank you guys so much for watching another breakdown video. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and comment down below with your thoughts on UFC 309. I will see you guys in the next video.